HIV is no longer considered the death sentence it was in the 1980s and 1990s, but there are still more people getting the virus in Australia each year. A new pre-exposure prophylaxis drug has proven effective in stopping the transmission of HIV and is being widely used in the United States and South Africa. But as Catherine Gregory reports, in Australia the drug is expensive and hard to get, particularly in the Northern Territory.
Daniel Toit is one of hundreds of gay men in the Northern Territory who wants another way to prevent getting HIV.
I'd like something else in my arsenal to combat what is potentially a risk for me.
He's had friends who have contracted the virus.
A pill like this could have helped stop that from happening.
PrEP is a pre-exposure prophylaxis form of the drug Truvada, which has long been used to treat HIV. But it can also now be used as a daily pill that helps prevent contracting and transmitting the virus.
Many studies have been done around the world in individuals who are at risk of HIV infection, and we know that regular use of these agents is very effective in preventing HIV transmission.
PrEP is freely available in the United States and South Africa, but in Australia it's much harder to get because it hasn't been approved as a preventative drug by the Therapeutic Goods Administration. One option is through clinical trials, but that's not happening in the Northern Territory.
Any requests to have a PrEP trial in the Northern Territory, the same as have been happening in the East Coast, has been, we haven't had our request approved.
As far as I'm aware, we have not been approached to be a clinical trial site. And if we do receive an interest or an application to do a clinical trial here, I would be very happy to consider whether it is feasible or appropriate.
The other option is importing the drug from overseas, but it requires an off-label prescription from an HIV specialised doctor. This also appears unavailable in the Territory because it lacks these specialised doctors.
Because the process of prescribing the drug must include discussion with the patient about indications, about possible side effects, risks.
HIV clinical specialists are calling for PrEP to be made accessible and affordable under the federal government's pharmaceutical benefit scheme. But it first needs approval. They also say that the drug will prove more cost-effective for the government in the long term.
Currently costs around $500,000 Australian dollars to support the individual for the rest of their life if they are HIV positive. You really only needed to treat 13 people for 1 year with PrEP to prevent one HIV infection.
But the NT's AIDS Council says there's still moral caution against the drug.
Because some people perceive it as giving people permission to, have sex without condoms and maybe act what they consider as irresponsible.
Daniel says those who want the drug are already being responsible, and HIV prevention is just as good as a cure. Catherine Gregory, ABC News, Darwin.